Hello and welcome to the second session of our Clear Cut Vision series. I'm very excited that we're here and I'm so glad that you're joining me. I'm Reggie Whitley, the Visionary Brand Coach, and today we're talking about health and wellness. So get your journals, make sure that you have it. If you want your journal to download for free, QR code is on the screen. You can go ahead and get that, and it's also linked in the description because you definitely want that on hand so that we can go ahead and get started. And if you want it as the printed version, that is available as well. Find it in the description. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in because we don't want to waste any time. First, we're going to get started with our physical health. Now, here's the thing that I've come to realize. My mind as an entrepreneur, I always say, I want to be sure that I'm building something that I can enjoy. So, what that means is not only do I want to build something well that I can enjoy, but I also want to be able to enjoy it. And I'm not going to be able to enjoy it. You're not going to be able to enjoy what you're building if your physical health is bad, if your mental health and emotional health, if all of these things aren't good. Because for one, you won't be in the mindset to be able to enjoy it. And worst case scenario, you won't be on the earth to enjoy it. So God forbid you build and build and build and not be able to live in the fruits of your labor. May your name not be Moses, right? So let's continue. Like I said, physical health. Physical health focuses on strength, endurance, and freedom from sickness and pain in your body because it is true. You can be completely free from sickness and pain. So we want to build a vision of good physical health. Prioritizing physical health is important because it allows you to serve God and others with energy, vitality, and longevity. Here's some statistics. We're going to start with some statistics and then we're going to brighten it up a bit because these statistics are not always favorable. They're not looking good, but we have to know so that we'll know what to avoid. 73% of entrepreneurs believe that their health has suffered since they've launched their business. 73% of entrepreneurs believe their health has suffered since they launched their business. And 52% of those entrepreneurs stated that sometimes they just don't find enough time for physical activities because of work overloading. Just so busy doing this, that, and the third. And you find yourself not able to even take care of yourself. You put yourself on the back burner. 52% of entrepreneurs say that that's them. Now we're going to go to emotional and mental and emotional health. This one focuses on peace of mind, stability, and freedom from anxiety and heaviness because we want to be free from physical pain, but we also want to be free from the mental and emotional pains. Guarding your mental and emotional health is vital. Why? Because it shapes how you handle challenges, relationships, and the overall joy you carry in life. Here are some statistics again. Entrepreneurs and mental health. 87.7% of entrepreneurs struggle with at least one mental health issue. 34.4% of entrepreneurs experience burnout. 50.2%, just over half of entrepreneurs struggle with anxiety. Just under half, at 45.8% of entrepreneurs, struggle with high stress. And 26.9% of entrepreneurs feel lonely or isolated. Just because it is something that is common, just because it is something that has become the norm, doesn't make it normal. It doesn't mean it has to be so for me, for you, for anyone. So we have to figure out, what do we do? How do we build? These are important to know, because if we don't know these things, that and we don't have the understanding that this doesn't have to be so, we'll think that, okay, well, I'm just going to probably be one of the statistics. I'm probably going to have one of those mental health issues, because I mean 87.7% of people who are entrepreneurs are, but we don't look at the remaining percent. So by taking a look at these percentages, we say, you know what? I want to be on the opposite end. So they told us that 50.2% of entrepreneurs struggle with anxiety. I want to fall in the opposite section, the one that's not being talked about. Mental health challenges faced by entrepreneurs. 50 point, this is another set of statistics. This is from another set of studies. 50.2% anxiety, 45.8% high stress, 39.2% financial worries, 34.4% burnout, imposter syndrome. 31.7% of entrepreneurs have imposter syndrome. 26.9% have a poor work-life balance, and the same percentage has loneliness or isolation. 21%, 21.6% experience insomnia or other sleep disorders. 19.8% experience depression. And that same article went on to express, many of these, especially depression, are probably far lower than the reality, because so many are not diagnosed, and so many don't even realize or even accept that their feelings, that their experiences, that their side effects, if you will, that they are actually signs of depression. 13.7% have strains in their relationships. This is when you don't talk to your friends for a long time because you're so tuned in. Your marriage or your relationship struggles. Your relationship with your children isn't as strong as it should be because you can't be there for your children because you're at work. 13.7% admitted to that. 12.3% feel hopelessness. 11.9% have no direction or purpose. And then there's 12.3% that was like, that's not even the half of it. You haven't even scratched the surface of all that list. What I have isn't even on the list. 12.13%. I wanted to share this with you because I wanted you to see that, number one, if you experience this, if you're in one of these percentages, you're not alone. If you feel any of these or experience any of these, you're not alone. But again, we're looking at these percentages, but there's a set of percentages that say that's not me, and that's our goal. Next, we have diet and exercise. This focuses on eating wisely and building healthy fitness habits. Stewarding your diet and fitness is important. Why? Because discipline in these areas brings balance, it sharpens your self control, and it fuels your body for daily assignments. Believe it or not, I found something that explains that there's an analysis of 13 studies of sitting time and activity levels. And it found that those who sat for more than 8 hours a day with no physical activity had a risk of dying similar to the same risk of those who died because of obesity and smoking. So to break that down in layman's terms, so if a person sits for more than 8 hours per day with no physical activity, that's not including getting up and going to the restroom and going back and sitting down. 8 hours per day, which in today's society is so many people, so many work from home people, so many people who work office jobs, desk jobs, 8 hours of sitting with no physical activity, those people had so many risks of death that were similar to people who were obese and smoking, just because they sat for too many hours a day with no physical activity. So, what are some of the risks of sitting too much? You have anxiety, diabetes, increased chances of dementia, weight gain from just sitting, thinning bones, deep blood clots, earlier death, certain types of cancer and heart disease, not to mention neck and back pain. Now, these are all from WebMD, and they talked about in that article what they call the sitting disease. And according to the World Health Organization, 31% of individuals 15 years old or older are physically inactive. Why is that important to bring up here? Because you should not only be thinking about a clear cut vision for yourself, but for your children and your grandchildren as well, because it started, according to the study, for those who are 15 years old and older. There's 31% of individuals starting at age 15 who are physically inactive, and they're at risk for all of the things that we've just talked about on this screen and on this screen. So, as you can see here, there are some wild numbers here on the screen, some wild statistics that we hope to never be a part of. 13 hours of every day um, is spent sitting on average for adults. Okay. 13 hours a day on average is spent sitting as adults. But what did I just tell you that the analysis said? I said that the analysis said that for those who sat for more than 8 hours per day of no physical activity, had a risk of dying similar to those who were obese and smoking. But on average, people typically sit, the average adult sits 13 hours per day. We've got to do something about that, guys. 5.3 million deaths occur annually as a result of inactivity and sedentary lifestyles. 1.5 increase of likelihood of suffering a stroke due to oversitting. 112% increase risk of developing diabetes from a lack of physical activity. 4 out of 5 adults fail to meet their 30-minute daily requirement of physical activity. That means all we have to do, because we can think about it as such a simple thing, all we have to do is just start with 30 minutes of physical activity. Start with that. And 4 out of 5 adults don't do it. What is physical activity? Physical activity is something that you do to get your heart rate going. It's not something that you do to do like a little light pump here and there, or like I mentioned earlier, walking to the restroom and back to your seat. It's not standing in the kitchen, although that's good too because you're standing, but standing in the kitchen and cooking, that's not necessarily physical activity. What they're talking about here, what we need 30 minutes of minimum a day. Physical activity means you're doing something every day to increase your heart rate. If that's walking in place, for some people, that's just sitting in a chair and marching with your feet and doing your arms like this fast enough to get your heart rate going. Because for some people, it's easier, especially for those who have more relaxed lifestyles. They're already not doing enough, so they can do something like march in place in their seat and get their heart rate going as they do their arms. But for some people, that's going out for a walk, going out for a jog, getting a treadmill, something that will involve an exercise bike. I love an exercise bike. Oh my goodness. I will pedal the wheels off of a doggone exercise bike. So one of the things, speaking of exercise bike, that I would do for myself, this is how I would challenge myself. I again love a bike. So what I would do is I had one at one point, and there was a TV show that I loved, and this TV show came on every day, and so I would actually, it was a late night show, one of those late night talk shows, but it wasn't on like TV, so I shouldn't have said TV. So one of streaming networks. So I would get on the bike and I would cut the show on. It was about an hour long show, about 42 minutes of showtime outside of ads. I would pedal away while I watched the show, right? When the show, because there's so many commercials, of course, we know there's so many ads on these streaming platforms that I'm not paying to get rid of them. So not, they haven't, anyway, I ain't got to explain that. I like a good ad every now and then. So while I'm pedaling and watching the show, I'm enjoying the show, and it went to an ad or commercial break, and I stopped pedaling to, breathe, take a little break. As soon as that ad was over, I'm backpedaling. I mean, as soon as it's over, I have to start backpedaling because I developed a discipline, a rule for myself that the only time we watch this show is while we're pedaling on the bike. And so I would pedal until the next ad, and I'd be like, whoo, so glad. And I don't remember what platform it was on, but I remember sometimes it'd be like a minute and a half break. And then sometimes it would be like, no exaggeration, like a 10-second break. And I would have to start back pedaling. It was so serious for me that I would get on it, I would start pedaling, and the first ad would come up and they would say, this program is brought to you by whoever. And you know, after this one ad break, you're not going to get any more for the rest of the show. Like, what? Again, I want my ads. I need a break. And so I made that a challenge to myself. Okay, well, we started, we got a break. We're not going to get another break. So I better pace myself because I cannot stop pedaling. I got to keep going. And I made it. So that was a rule of mine. And any day that I would skip, whether it's because I was busy, whether it's because I didn't have time, whether it's because I didn't feel like it, if I skipped a day on the bike, I had to skip a day of the show. So that meant for me to catch up on the show, there will be certain days I will have to watch, either certain days I have to watch multiple times, watch the show multiple times, meaning I had to bike multiple times, or I would, start watching one at a time to get caught up, and I would catch up on Saturday because typically I would take the weekend, as a break from biking. So that was my rule. Whenever I ended up literally pedaling the paddle off the bike, and it broke, and I didn't get another one since that. And I stopped watching the show because my discipline was that strong. I said I'm not gonna start back watching the show until I get another bike. Soon after the show got discontinued, so I haven't been on the bike since. But I'm so sorry to her for making her show get discontinued because apparently I was the only one still watching. How to increase movements every day? It doesn't have to be hard. Number one, walking up and down the stairs instead of taking the elevator. That's a super simple one. Number two, if you work at a desk for extensive hours, try a standing desk. They have those motorized desks where you can sit and then you can hit the button and it will go tall so you can stand and do some work. Because going back to what I kind of vaguely mentioned about cooking, it is still good to just stand. Even if you're just standing there, it's still good sometimes to just stand, especially for blood circulation. Try standing desk or improve with I'm sorry, improvise with a high table or counter. Some people may say, well, a standing desk is too expensive. Get a high table and put your computer there. Especially if you work off of a laptop. You have a desk, you have a high table, you go to the table, you just stand there. Number three, integrate a treadmill desk or a bike desk into your work from home office. For those of you who do your work from home, or your business from home, and you just need a computer or something like that, those are two options there. Number four, having walk and talk meetings, meaning you walk with your colleagues for meetings rather than sitting in a conference room. Even for us entrepreneurs, when we have to meet with people, why don't we challenge them and say, hey, especially when we have a good working relationship with them, instead of just saying, well, let's meet at the office, or let's meet here, let's meet there, hey, let's go to the park. Let's have a walk around the park for our meeting, and we'll just talk while we walk, because that's a great chance they need to get up and get their hips moving too. Number five, walking around while talking on the phone if space is permitted. I can't help that one. I just do that automatically. Number six, limiting the amount of time you spend sitting and watching TV. Number seven, scrolling on TikTok and all that other stuff too, guys. Doom scrolling, limit that. Number seven, changing traditional video games with activity, promoting games. So, those are just 7 examples of how it doesn't have to be difficult. The thing is, a lot of the times we don't like to get up and moving, but we need to. It it starts off being difficult, but after a while, you'll get so in the habit of it, you're not gonna even feel right just sitting all day like you probably are already. Now we're at rest, sleep, and stress. This focuses on developing healthy rhythms of rest, peaceful sleep, and stress management. Prioritizing rest is essential because it restores your body, clears your mind, and keeps you from burning out while pursuing your goals. All of those are equally as important because if we're supposed to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, I don't get it. I'm working on it, guys, this year. So that's why I don't know how many I'm supposed to get because I get a very few. But I'm working on it this year because I've come to realize if we don't get enough rest how we're supposed to, so many dementia, memory loss, brain fogginess, grogginess, our mood and our attitude is just not the same with people. We don't realize it, but we become unpleasant to be around, and we're trying to figure out why we can't keep customers, why we can't keep employees, why we can't keep clients. It's because we didn't get enough sleep, and we're just groggy and grouchy. And for some, it's because you don't get enough sleep and your eyes are bloodshot red, and people think that you're high or drunk. And they're like, I don't want to work with the high or a drunkard. Really and truly, you just need some sleep. So that is a major one. So here are some sleep tips for entrepreneurs. Number one, avoid afternoon coffee breaks. Reggie, 'cause I'm talking to myself. If you typically sip coffee or caffeine all day, stop by 2 p.m. Number two, exercise. Regular physical activity has been linked to lower stress levels and higher emotional resilience. You're more pleasurable to be around. Essential qualities for entrepreneurs. Number three, stay away from alcohol and sleep aids. Oh, I know that's a big one for you guys because that's including your Benadryl, it's including your melatonin. These substances may seem to help you fall asleep, but they can interfere with your ability to get high quality sleep. Number four, wind down before bedtime. At least spend about an hour winding down before going to bed. So that's doing things such as reading or listening to calming music. And then the last one is get checked out. If you're consistently exhausted, whether you sleep through the night or not, or typically lie in bed awake all night, you may want to see your doctor. Why? Because the truth is, if you're always exhausted or you're sleeping through the night and whatever the case may be, you want to see a doctor because you may have sleep apnea. And I'm not a medical doctor, guys. I'm just saying you may want to go to see a doctor just in case of that because you don't want to have an underlying issue that's causing more harm than you realize right now. Now, how can I beat these statistics besides the few pieces of advice that I just gave you? How can I beat these statistics? Create non negotiables. So, what are some non negotiables? Some non negotiables can be, I'll just give a few examples here. Some non negotiables for your physical health can be that I'm going to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, no matter what. That means no matter who calls, no matter who invites you where, no matter what's going on, no matter what's going on social media, you make a promise to yourself that you're going to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. You know what time you have to be up in the morning? So you have to minus 7 to 8 hours so you know what time you need to be asleep. Not in the bed, but asleep. Another non negotiable can be every 30 minutes of sitting, you get 8 minutes of standing. You sit for 30 minutes, you stand up for 30 minutes. You sit for 30 minutes, you stand up and type. You sit up and talk on you take your next phone call and you say, I'm just gonna stand here. I don't have to walk up and I'm just gonna stand here. Because it's again good for circulation. Mental and emotional health, some non-negotiables. One can be unfollowing people and brands that are not good for your emotional health, because if they really tick you off on social media, why do you keep following them? Why do you keep subscribing to them? Why do you keep watching their content? Let it go. Like yourself more than that and leave it alone. Another one can be practice saying 100 positive things per day. It's so easy to just be a negative Nancy. It's so easy to think of the most negative things. It's so easy to worry. The difficult thing is to think of 100 positive things per day, especially when you're used to focusing on the negative. Now, I have a clicker and I wish I had it on my desk. It must be on the other side of the room. As a matter of fact, I have a box of them that you be too negative around me. The next time you see me, I'm going to give you a clicker. And my clicker, you just click, and you literally, with this non-negotiable, you can literally just say, today's going to be a great day. Today's going to be, if you got to say that 10 times, today's going to be a great day. Today's going to be a great day. Nobody's going to piss me off today. Nobody's going to upset me. Nobody's going to step on my new shoes. Nobody's going to be, traffic's going to be easy for me. And when I go to the post office, they're going to be nice. When I go to the store, they're going to be great. When I go to the cash register, going to be in a good mood. And even if she's not in a good mood, I'm going to be in a good mood. I'm going to be in a good mood. I'm going to be in a good mood. Because after a while, you're going to rewire your mind to start thinking positive thoughts. Even when something comes to upset you, you get that clicker. You get that clicker. Hey, how are you? And then they say the answer to you is, today's just such a bad day. It's so dreary and rainy outside, and my dog just got run over by a car. It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day. I'm in a good mood. I'm not gonna let them bring me down. In the moment, you got to start saying some positive stuff, and you could just say you're going to do it 100 times per day. Will other people think you're crazy? Who cares? Because we're concerned about your mental and emotional health. For diet and fitness, one of your non-negotiables can be to have more deposits than withdrawals. That doesn't mean that you can't eat the cookie. It just means that you eat a lot of vegetables today already, because you got to have more deposits, more good stuff in than bad stuff. Because when you're eating good stuff, those are deposits. You're putting in your body things that's going to build you up. When you eat crap, that's going to put in your body things that's going to bring you down. So that's considered a withdrawal. So you could just say, you know what, Monday through Friday, I'm going to have more deposits than withdrawals. I'm going to make sure I eat my vegetables. I'm going to eat a really big, if I know I'm eating, a bake, somebody baked a cake and they're going to give me some of it this evening, I'm going to make sure for lunch I have a big salad. I'm going to add green beans to my lunch. I'm going to eat a good hearty breakfast to make sure that I get my deposits up, so that by the time I get that cake, it's not hitting so hard of a withdrawal and now I'm in the negative, because we want to make sure we're not in the negative, aka in the red. Another non-negotiable can be drinking water when you go out to eat. Instead of getting you're going to save money, and you're not going to drink your calories, and for those of you who like the diet drinks, you're not putting all of that fake sugar in your body that was made in a plant somewhere that's probably not really good for you if you do the studies on it. And then for rest, sleep, and stress, some non-negotiables can be switching from coffee to tea, because for some people coffee does get their minds all in a uproar and they can't sleep at night. A non-negotiable can also be, I've seen so many people get rid of red dye 40 out of their diet. So anything with red 40 on the label, they stop eating it. Sleep gets better, ADHD leaves. They just are just overall better person to deal with and can get more done. And those for entertainment purposes only. Another one can be to have consistent schedules, even on the weekends. Because as entrepreneurs, we think that we can go and go and go and go. And as something comes up, we're going to handle it. And then when another thing comes up, we're going to handle that. Getting a consistent schedule. Work your business just as you would work your actual job. Set certain hours and don't work outside of those hours and take Sundays off. That's my big non-negotiable. I am not working on a Sunday. So, for our next session, we're going to do number 3, which is health. I'm sorry, which is family and relationships. And I'm very excited about that one. If you missed our last one, it was spiritual growth. It was really good as well. And before we leave, I want you to know that also, remind you to be sure to get your downloadable journal, and you can also, if you want your printed journal, you can also order it, QR code on the screen, and it is linked in the description as well. Now, you know the drill. Because we're here, we want to make sure that we get everybody that we can get into heaven, because we got to get you there. So if you are not saved, if you've not given the Lord, or accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you can go ahead and repeat after me. Lord Jesus, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to come into fellowship with you. I understand that I no longer live for myself, but I live for you. I lay down my will and take on your perfect will for my life. I acknowledge and confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, and that you sent him to earth to die for my sins, shames, and ailments. And I believe in my heart that he died and rose from the dead so that I may be saved. Now, I receive and welcome the fullness of the Lord into my life and into my heart. I ask that the Spirit of God lives inside of me, guides me, comforts me, encourages me, and loves me. And I am now a child of God. It is so, in Jesus' name. Amen. Yes, it was just that simple. It doesn't have to be hard at all, because it wasn't hard at all. So if you just prayed that prayer, if you just dedicated or rededicated your life to Christ, I would love to hear about it. Leave me a comment if you're able to. And whether you left a comment or not, I would love for you to still go ahead, scan the QR code on your screen, and let me know. All you have to do is click the little check that says I did it. Send me a quick email, and I want to celebrate you, because heaven is already celebrating. I just would like to be invited to the party. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you for session number 3.